feel comfortable. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for jumping on tonight for our final conversation with candidates. This series has been very rich, and we're closing out tonight with none other than Mr. Isaiah Martin, candidate for Congressional District 18. So, first question, and I ask everyone this question. Tell me about your first time voting. What was
Oof.
that experience? Talk about it.
Well, I was still in high school at the time. I think
Okay.
it was, maybe just after. It was in the presidential election with Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump.
Okay.
And I went forward, cast my vote for Hillary Clinton. I was excited for it.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Excellent. So tell me about that though. So you went and voted, but tell me about the experience.
Well, I know for me, I had spent a lot of time voting with my parents when they were younger. So I would
Mhm.
always go to the polls with them, get the little I voted stickers. So it just kind of felt like a part of my life to just go in and cast a ballot on election day.
Okay.
I was excited to do it. And fortunately, it didn't turn out in our favor, but, work hard for the next one.
All right. So I remember the first time I met you, we were at what was that? Gatlin's
Mhm.
barbecue with Tamani. Tamani does the Thursday morning breakfasts, and he does it with people from the community, including candidates. And you shared some things then, and now I've watched you over the last several months. I've watched you evolve. I've, you know, just paid a lot of attention to you in your campaign, and I've seen the growth. I have. But I got to jump right to it. Let's talk about Austin.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So you go to Austin to testify.
Mhm.
I've teased a lot about this. It was like a Tubi movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Low budget, huh?
I was like, okay,
Ouch.
it's like Tubi, you
Okay.
know. Um, Tell me about that experience. First, about testifying, right? Tell me about testifying, and tell me why you wouldn't oblige the decorum of the state legislature.
Because Republicans don't give an ounce about decorum when it comes to us. And so ultimately, I saw Republican lawmakers that were on their phones, they weren't paying their attention.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to make sure that they understood exactly where I was coming from. And I just felt the weight of so many people in the district that could not go and testify at that moment. And I wanted to make sure that my voice was heard.
Okay. Okay. So, can we expect you to disrespect decorum in DC too?
Maybe.
Okay. Now you know that's a part of being a legislator.
We'll work on it when we get there.
Well, we got to get there, and that's a big thing. So, one of the things that I pride myself on is being amongst people in the community, as an advocate, as a voice, and also as someone who's a listener. And so, when I talk to people across CD 18, in particular, because I do talk to people outside of the district about this race as well. When I talk to people about that or about the candidates, and so I go down the list of candidates, everyone brings that up. And so that is a concern that you're just going to be a hothead and not be able to get anything done. I know that was beneficial to you financially for your campaign, everything that happened with Austin, but what can people expect from you in terms of emotional maturity moving forward? Because to not call it a stain, but to let people know that's not a stain, that was just one incident. What can they expect from you moving forward?
Well, look, these are not normal times. And I know very well that the Republicans are doing everything they can in Washington, D.C. To do stupid things. And I'm not going to waver in the effort to call that out. But what I do know is that for 4 years with Congresswoman Jackson Lee, she trusted me to be that senior advisor to work with her. And, somebody as direct and to the point as Congresswoman Jackson Lee. I don't think she would trust me if she didn't think that I had the emotional maturity to work with her on a lot of these things. So
okay, so let's talk about that. So you were, from my understanding, you were an intern with Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. Later, I learned that you were a senior advisor. So let's talk about being a senior advisor. How did that come to be? Because you don't really have a lot of political currency of experience, like a typical senior advisor does. Typically, a senior advisor has years of experience. I know senior advisors who serve U.S. senators, who serve legislators across the country, and they have a particular length of experience, and your resume doesn't show that, right? Or at least the resume that you put out there, like on LinkedIn. So how do you, as not a very recent college grad, but a reasonably recent college grad. So 4 years ago, it put us at 2021. You finished college in 2021. How do you become a senior advisor? What expertise, and where did that expertise come from?
It really came from my work ethic. You know, the Congresswoman saw that I was somebody that was always relentless. I always was very good at researching the things that she needed me to research. And we had very complex conversations on legislative matters. And so she found me to be a very important sounding board for her. And she elevated me to that position herself.
Okay.
So, you know, she'd been in Congress for a really long time before that. And
I'm well aware.
And she had just worked, and she was excited to have my work ethic to work with her in that position.
So let's talk about that work ethic. What are some things that you brought to the congressional district? And did you primarily work here in the Houston office downtown, or one of the other offices here in Houston? Or did you work primarily on the Hill?
I was her Swiss Army knife. So whether that was working with her to go and figure out how we're going to do vaccination drives.
But where did you work? Where were you officed?
I didn't have an office to be in this position, no.
Okay, so were you employed as like a federal employee, or were you employed by the campaign?
I never got paid a dime.
Okay. That checks. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I worked in aerospace. That was my main job. And then I worked with her at every other moment that I could get outside of that. So.
Okay. Now let's talk about aerospace, because you're a political science major, U of H, and former SGA president of U of H.
Not SGA.
Not SGA.
My brother was SGA.
Your brother was SGA.
Yeah.
You were?
I had For the Students.
For the Students. So what is For the Students?
It was an organization that we created to deal with collegiate sexual assault.
Okay.
Got really frustrated with the lack of action on that and tangible things that were given to survivors. So we created it to go and create a full support partnership to fix it.
What led you to that work?
Someone personally was affected.
Okay.
And I just got frustrated because I felt as if nothing was being done, and got involved.
And that led to you working with District Attorney Kim Ogg?
So I worked with her on this initiative.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that opened up that door for a relationship to be built with you and the former district attorney.
Yeah.
So tell me about the work that you and the DA's office did around, give me the name of the organization again.
For the Students.
For the Students. Mm-hmm. Share with me or the listeners about that.
So we worked, she had a program that she worked with us to use asset forfeiture funds to go and use that for sexual assault issues on campus.
Okay.
And so it was important because we use it for sexual assault examinations. We use it for support groups, legal support, had a hotline directly available to students. So all of that stuff was what we did, and it allowed for this program to exist without an ounce of tuition being raised on students. It was very important.
All right. And does that program still exist today?
I'm sure it does. I don't go to U of H anymore.
But I mean, like when you leave a legacy, like I created a legacy at my undergrad, it still lasts 20 some years later, and I'm very proud of it, right? So is it still in existence? You know, when we can create things, and I find that commendable, right? Of, you know, those efforts. When we can create things with a lasting legacy, that's important. That proves that what we did was beyond effective. So check that out. That's something to be proud of, right? I would encourage you to check that out to see where is that program today.
Yeah, I mean, look, I know when my brother was elected to be an SGA, he continued it. There's another SGA president, Diego Arriaga, that continued it as of last year. But in terms of this school year, you know, we've been running this election. I don't know if it's still going on.
I got you. So tell me about your political work beyond Sheila Jackson Lee.
Yeah, so I worked a lot to go and campaign for Democrats across the country. So I went and traveled for people like Shamari Figures, traveled for people like Janelle Bynum, worked to make sure that we could elect folks.
But tell me about the work.
What do you mean?
Like, I've worked in campaigns. Tell me about the work that you did in these various campaigns. Were you raising money? Were you doing advocacy? Were you doing policy work? Were you doing GOTV? Tell us about the work that you were doing.
Raised money for a lot of those candidates, knocked on doors for a lot of those candidates, made a lot of social media content for those candidates.
Okay.
It was really important.
Okay. And that was during this, what was the 2024 cycle?
2024. And, I was campaigning for candidates in 2022, and I've always made sure that I was getting around to help candidates when we could.
Okay. So let's back up. So when you're in college, you create an organization for students focused on victims of sexual assault and I'm guessing other violence, right? What role does those issues play today in your platform as a candidate for Congress?
I talk about, for example, the For the Students Act is something that I want to introduce to continue that legacy, to make sure that for colleges and universities that don't have access to the full support partnership, we're using federal funds to make sure that it can be available there. So I want to work all across the country, but I also want to create our first ever study of collegiate sexual assault, and particularly also collegiate sexual assault at HBCUs. It has never been studied before, and I want to be able to get real data backed up behind that. So I think it's about getting data as well as also providing resources for survivors, coupled with the fact that I want to get a lot more funding for mental health at colleges and universities, because our mental health counselors are just simply not enough. We need a lot more of that.
Okay.
And I want to make sure that federal dollars are available to get that done.
Okay. So we talked about creating an organization, passing, and it has passed through at least 2 others since your tenure of starting it. And it's something that you hope to do as a member of Congress. But what have you been doing in that space since leaving U of H? I know what you hope to do in Congress around that, but what have you been doing in that space? Have you been doing any organizing beyond? Are you supporting any organizations here in Houston locally, like perhaps The Bridge, that focuses on victims of domestic violence and sexual assault? What work are you doing to support those efforts today that basically, as people say, where are your receipts? Like, what are you doing? What are you doing today?
I'm confused.
You're confused?
What are you asking me?
So I'm asking you, like, what work are you doing today, last year, the year before, since in subsequent years since leaving U of H, around that issue? Or is that just an issue that you hope to create legislation for in the future?
Are you asking the sexual assault work that I've done like since leaving U of H? Yeah. So I worked on that when I was in college, and then I worked immediately with the Congresswoman to go and work on other political issues.
But you didn't always work for the Congresswoman. You weren't working for her full time. So like, I have a full-time job, but I do community stuff too.
My full-time job was in aerospace, right?
In aerospace,
yeah.
Okay.
And so working with the Congresswoman on immediately after leaving work basically took up the majority of my time.
But she wasn't always here.
What do you mean?
The Congresswoman was not always, she wasn't always here in Houston.
She has phones.
I know she has phones.
She has phones, she has Zoom.
But it's quite hard for me to believe that every day she has to talk to this young man who's barely old enough to rent a car.
She did.
That she talked to you constantly as her senior advisor, with her long history, extended history as a member of Congress, right?
She did.
And as an elected official. No, I'm not saying she didn't, because I don't know, and she's not here to tell us. But these are questions that people want answered, so that's why I'm asking.
Well, that's why I'm giving you a straight answer.
Yeah.
She did.
So when the Congresswoman passed, let's go to that. Did you continue to work with CD18?
In terms of?
In terms of serving the congressional district.
Yeah,
the district didn't go away.
I was available for Lily Coney every time she called me and she needed something. I worked with her to do that. Political efforts, I worked with Sylvester Turner. I bought literature that was used to go and get people turned out to go vote. So 100%.
Okay. So you did work, you continued to work with her chief of staff?
Absolutely.
Okay. And
her
did
chief
you?
of staff, Lily Coney, Laura Rincon, who's her legislative affairs person. I worked with her on a variety of different issues.
Okay, let's talk about it. I want you to loosen up, talk about it, because people want to know, and I want them to have the opportunity to hear directly from you and not what other people may think. I want them to hear directly from you what that work looked like.
I mean, look, when I was with the Congresswoman, I worked with her on, for example, federal grants. I worked with her on particularly the $50 million that she brought to Texas Southern University for EPA grants. I worked
Okay.
with her. I remember when she was in Ukraine trying to figure out what was going to be her.
Let's talk about that EPA grant for Texas Southern University.
Okay.
Because that hits home. That's something that is Texas Southern University, the heart of the 18th Congressional District, is the pride and joy of Houston in terms of HBCUs. Let's talk about that work that you did with Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee that benefited Texas Southern University and ultimately the 18th Congressional District.
Yeah, it was a really big thing. And I think it's really important now because we see the cuts, particularly to the Environmental Justice Office that Donald Trump has done, about why we now have a university that can do a lot of the studies for a lot of the environmental issues that we had. I know that they were going to be tasked with monitoring a lot of the air monitors that went up in Fifth Ward as a result of the work that was inside of the Inflation Reduction Act to create those funding to make that there. But I'm excited about it, and it's able to do a lot of good work now.
Okay, so at Texas Southern, who did you work with in partnership in facilitating the implementation of this these appropriations for the district?
I worked with the Congresswoman to identify that as an opportunity to go and deliver federal funding, and that was the extent of that.
Okay. Now let's talk about some other work that you've done. And you're right, the EPA has been gutted severely. Across the board, this administration is not really interested in regulations, right? What other work or policies, whether with the Congresswoman or things that you've been doing on your own for policy efforts, what does that look like? And the reason why I'm asking these questions is, unlike some of the other candidates in your race, you don't have political experience as an elected official. So you don't have the same type of record to kind of discuss. That's why I'm asking, so that people will know that you're capable, right? So
here's how I'm going to answer that.
Okay.
If you want to know if I'm capable, I think you should just look at the way that Congress is right now. It's not ran correctly. Congress has a 19% approval rating. There's dozens of people that have served in city council, county attorney, district attorney, whatever positions they are that are sitting inside of Congress. And they have a collective total of a 19% approval rating.
Are we talking about you?
I'm telling you the point is that what we see is that people want new folks in government.
But we want people who are capable.
Absolutely.
And that's why I'm asking you, talk to us about your abilities,
you haven't asked
your
me,
skills, and your knowledge.
But you have not asked me something specifically.
Oh, well, let me ask you.
The job that's at hand.
What are your skills, knowledge, and abilities that you will offer me as a resident of Congressional District 18 to make me as a resident of Congressional District 18 not only vote for you, but to advocate for you and to share with people to support you? What are your things specifically that you will bring in terms of knowledge, skills, and abilities?
I was there for a variety of different matters when it came to the 18th Congressional District. When our city was completely underwater after hurricanes, I went with the Congresswoman to go and and identify. You had Hurricane Harvey that was around and available for. But
so at 18, 19 years old, you were doing work for the Congresswoman around Hurricane Harvey. Policy work?
I was there to go and identify.
I mean, I was working during Harvey, so
that time.
But what were you doing though? I'm not Carmen, so you can't debate me.
Well,
so
look,
let's be clear.
What's interesting about this?
Let's be clear. I'm asking you because I want you to be able to pour out.
Look, I know what this is about, and I understand very clearly what this is about.
This is about you pouring out.
And
what is it about, then? Let's talk about
what this is about is I came here to have a conversation with you directly about this issue with the 18th Congressional District.
Yes.
And when it came to the issues that are in front of us, Congress is not working. Nobody can look at the House Democratic Caucus and can say that it's working. Ultimately, right now, what I bring is somebody that understands the federal government and how it works. I understand how to vote for stupid bills that was in there. I know what it was like to sit up and with the congresswoman at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning and read ridiculous bills and figure out what poison pills that folks like Marjorie Taylor Greene wouldn't put inside of them. I know how to do that because I did that work. Nobody else that's in this race has done anything remotely close to that. They have no real federal experience.
Okay.
But in addition to that,
none of them?
No, they don't. But in addition to that,
none of them.
But in addition to that, what is also important is that we have an issue with communication. We need to be able to communicate to people about what's going on in government. And I personally do not believe that that's being done correctly. And I'm proud of the way that we've been able to build such a tremendous platform, over 1.1 million followers across all platforms.
Baby, I don't care nothing about followers.
But this is
because are they going to translate into votes?
But this is what I'm trying to tell you.
Are they going to translate into votes?
If you would like me to answer the question, look, I'm here to answer the question.
No, but we're having a conversation. I don't want it to be combative.
Well, it's not about being competitive. I was trying to give you an answer, but you interrupted me.
Listening. Okay, I'm listening.
So again, why is that important? Because people are not doing anything. You got people in this race that was literally in charge of the Harris County voter response, and we had the worst voter turnout in the history of this 18th congressional district. Personally, I think that we got to do a lot more to go get information in front of people, just like you're doing right now.
Okay.
And I think a lot more of that work needs to be done.
Okay. So to Mr. Henry, who lives in, let's say, 77008, all what you said don't matter.
Great.
They want to know what you're doing, what you are doing today that gives them the confidence to go vote for you in a couple of weeks, because they're going to vote early because they're a senior. They want to know, what are you doing today to give them confidence of your ability and what your integrity is going to look like once you make it up to that hill.
Why don't you ask me about an issue?
Let's talk about EPA.
Let's do it.
Okay. What work are you doing around environmental justice?
I'm working particularly to go and stop the ridiculous budget cuts that we currently see in Washington.
No, what are you doing
I'm
currently?
I'm going to vote against it. I'm not in elected office.
No,
so
okay.
That is what you see.
No, hold on,
as
don't
a
raise
question.
your voice.
Well, that's a question that you see that's obviously something that
Okay.
you know that I'm not an elected official. So I cannot personally do anything.
I'm not going to let
matter.
you skate like that. Let me tell you something, because I've been doing this work a long time.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
You don't have to be condescending, but it is a conversation. Advocacy happens on the ground.
That's right.
Advocacy happens in the community.
That's right.
We have a whole cancer cluster here in
That's
Houston,
right?
Mm-hmm. We have people who are exposed to toxins all over this city. Mm-hmm. Have you done any work in the community, advocating, doing any policy work locally? Are you helping people locally as it relates to environmental justice?
I have particularly been one to sound the alarm of what's going on with these cancer clusters. I was there when we had the big community meeting in Fifth Ward to go talk about a lot of this stuff when the EPA came not so long ago. I was there for all of that. Mm-hmm. But I'm traditionally somebody who understands this issue. Why? Because my family is from Clinton Park. Mm-hmm. You know, Clinton Park is right next to the Port of Houston. That's one of the biggest issues when it comes to cancer clusters and everything else, particularly there. People are dying left and right. I just went to a civic club not so long ago. Okay, they were talking about the issue when it comes to all of that stuff.
There we go.
So I go to all of these things and I hear their concerns. And what people are telling me is that they're sick of the constant pageantry that happens with these things. They're sick of the constant meetings and stuff. They want real action. So what I talk about is how I'm going to partner with folks like Congressman Troy Carter that's been dealing with Cancer Alley in Louisiana. Why? My family is also from Letcher, Louisiana, who is personally affected by this. I know what this is like. We need people that have that experience to know what's going on, but then to talk about what we're going to do legislatively. When we win back the House and we win back the presidency, I'm talking about guaranteeing healthcare for life for those that have been affected by this. I want to make sure that there's permanent relocation dollars for those that have been affected by this. I want to make sure that we're setting up college funds for the kids that are also coming as a lineage for these things. I want to work with people that have been affected by this, work with folks in the CBC to get that done. And I've been advocating for that for a very long time.
What work have you done?
What do you?
I'm asking you.
I'm not in an elected office.
You know, I'm not in an elected office, but I do work in the community. So I'm asking you, what work have you done around that? And if there's none, just say, I have not done work in that area.
I have advocated about this as well as everybody else has that is not an elected position. Okay. I'm not in an elected office.
Have you helped families get with organizations that will support them in their medical care, that's something that an advocate does. That's what I'm asking you. What work have you done? Like Hurricane Harvey, for example. Hurricane Harvey, I help rescue people. I can speak to that. I can bring people on who can speak to me, helping them be rescued.
When the winter storm happened, I was going.
That's what I'm asking. Let's talk about your actual work. People connect with that.
When the winter storm happened, I was going around with the congresswoman to go and deliver water for people. I was remember working with her to figure out where we're going to send FEMA where things happen. You can look and I guess sigh about that experience.
No, I haven't sighed.
But it's real life, and that's my experience that I bring to this position.
Okay, but what has Isaiah done on Isaiah's own?
I'm not in an elected office.
You don't have to be in an elected office to serve the people. One of my favorite scriptures, and I think are you Catholic?
Yes.
Yeah. So you're from. So I asked that because I've looked you up, right? But also to make sure you're a man of faith before I go giving a quote from the Bible. I just think that's respectful. But one of my favorite scriptures is out of the book of Romans, and it tells us that our strength is not for our status. Our strength is for service. So that's why, and that's a passion of mine, and I live by that. So that's why I'm asking you, you have this strength, right? You have this tenacity. How are you leveraging it for service? That's all I'm trying to get to.
I've worked with the congresswoman on a variety of matters.
But what have you done without the congresswoman?
Well, that's a very loaded question because that's expecting somebody who spent literally every single week of my life for that 4-year period working with the congresswoman on that issue.
What have you done in the last year?
You can try to take that away from me.
I'm not trying to take that away from you.
The way things are.
I'm not trying to take that away from
you.
In
the last year, I was working to elect Kamala Harris to be the president of the United States. I was working to elect Janelle Bynum to the United States Congress. I was working to elect Angela Alsobrooks to the United States Senate. So I was traveling around to go and make sure that could get done, while also coming back to go and turn out voters after our anemic person that was literally there, one of them that is in this race, did not a damn thing to turn out voters in this district. That's what happened.
Okay. So when it comes to the city of Houston, particularly Congressional District 18, outside of working with the congresswoman, particularly in the last year, what work in the community have you done on your own initiative, specifically in the community, not related to politics, but just work for the people?
That is a loaded question.
It's not loaded.
It's
a basic
loaded.
Question.
It's very loaded, and you know exactly what you're doing.
I do. I do know what I'm doing.
I know you do.
That's why I do what I do.
Of course you do. It's not going to work though. But
because you don't have an answer.
It's not going to work.
I'm not. Try it, this ain't the redistricting, folks. Look, you don't have to do a Tubi movie here.
I'm telling you directly to your face.
You don't have to talk to me with your hands.
I'm talking to you directly.
I know you are. So answer the question.
Ultimately, what I'm telling you is, again,
he can't or he won't.
I just gave you the answer. You just don't like it.
I mean, I'm asking for a reason. I'm asking so that you can position yourself to educate the community. Let me tell you what happens with these videos. Seniors circulate these YouTube videos amongst themselves. They actually have a watch party each week with these videos. I'm laughing because you don't know how serious I am about it. Okay. Seniors then get on phone calls and they start circulating and talking. And I want them to be able to say something about you.
I hope so. Okay. And that's why I came here to talk to you directly about, for example, the advocacy that I want to do for the people of the district, to talk about the future.
But here's the thing with wanting to talk about it.
Is why we have not talked about a single issue that is facing this district.
I think this is,
one thing.
Well, we have about 35, 40 more minutes, right? So.
No, we don't.
No, I think we have a hard out at 8:40.
Oh, at 8:40? So we got 1 minute?
What does the text say?
Oh, let me see what time the text came. I might have missed the text. I don't have a text. Did you text me or email me?
Email.
Oh, see, I haven't checked my email. Yeah. So I missed that.
What time did the email come in?
Oh, you said a hard out at 8:40. Okay, my apologies. Okay, can you give me 10 minutes?
Let's give her 15.
You give me 15?
I'll do that.
You'll do that? I appreciate that. You're really not giving me 15. You're giving the people 15. All right. So let's talk about, I know that you have plans for when you get to Congress.
Of course.
I think what you're missing is people want to hear things, concrete things that you've done here, so they're confident enough to elevate you to Congress, right?
Okay.
I know you have a fantastic platform on social media across platforms, right? I mean, you do this amazing. I brag on what you do on TikTok. I've told other candidates, like, y'all better get your ass on TikTok because Isaiah's running circles around you. I know you have record number of donations coming in to your campaign from across the country. You've said it yourself. This cycle, nobody. You said it at Trinity
This
when I
quarter.
moderate. Yeah, this cycle, this quarter, that no one has outraged you, and
That's
you're
right.
confident in that.
Very much so.
All right. So because you had donations of what was it, $19 average, right? How does that translate? How are you using the momentum of that to get your message out into the community where the voters are, primarily those who are 58 and older? How are you get, because that's the population that votes at the highest rates. Our seniors vote at the highest rates across the country. That's a known stat. Yes, we know 18 to 35 is the largest potential voting group, but they don't vote at the higher rate as our seniors. What are you doing with this momentum you have to get your messaging out to that particular group of voters?
So we're excited to have the biggest block walks out of any candidate in the race every single week. Excited to have the biggest phone banks out of any candidate in the race this campaign. I'm excited about the fact that we're going to have a very large and robust paid media program. This will be on the TV airways. It's going to be on digital ads. It's also going to be in mailboxes as well. So I'll be communicating to voters in a variety of different methods. Also, our social media platforms that's getting more than 45 million views per month. So we're going to use all three to go and make sure that we can benefit and actually reach people in the district.
Okay. All right. What's the feel for you right now? How do you feel about, we're going into the home stretch. I said that to y'all in the hallway. Mm-hmm. We're in the home stretch. How are you feeling about the campaign right now? Do you feel like you have enough momentum on the ground? Because I don't give a damn about social media, because social media don't vote. But on the ground here in the community, do you feel that you are making waves amongst these elected officials and formerly elected officials who are in the race with you to be competitive enough to make it to January?
Yes.
Okay. So we make it to January. What's going to separate you and pull you ahead? What can the voters expect from an Isaiah Martin for Congress, or Isaiah Martin, Congressman Isaiah Martin? What can the voters expect from you, and why should they vote for you should you make it to a runoff?
They can expect that I'm going to be everywhere. We're excited to continue to build on our fellowship program, get more people involved to go and help us go and knock on these doors. They can expect for me to go and have more folks that's going to go out and help spread our message. So,
what are you going to do for jobs?
Are you talking about once the election's over? Or?
Mm-hmm. Like, I'm speaking as though you are the Congress member, right?
Oh,
what is your plan for jobs?
So I talk about co-sponsoring the Jobs Act from Senator Tim Kaine. It's going to help people to not just use Pell Grants for college and university, but also use it to go for job trainings. So they can use it for barbershop training. They can use it for welding. They can use it for energy production in a variety of different ways. So I look forward to co-sponsoring that legislation and then meeting with leadership the moment that we can flip back the House to make this a priority.
Okay. So that's kind of long term, but that's good though. I like trades a lot. So that's something you're doing around jobs. So what about student loans? What about student loans? And I'm gonna take some from the audience too. What about student loans? What's your aim? If you can give me 30 to 45 seconds on what's your aim around student loans.
So I absolutely,
or student loan forgiveness.
I supported what President Biden did with the student loan, the SAVE repayment program that was recently struck down by Trump. I absolutely support the idea of $10,000 in student loan forgiveness that he was pushing out. They wanted to get, but it was blocked by the Supreme Court. We'll ultimately have to pass an act through Congress to make sure we can get that done. I think that in order to do a lot of these things, we'll have to get rid of the filibuster. I'm a big supporter in getting that done. So I'll be adding my name to the list of House members that's encouraging the Senate to do that, and working every single day to make sure it can happen.
Okay. What's your stance on the situation between Israel, the state of Israel, and Gaza?
I want peace. I want peace more than anybody can even imagine. And if a bill comes to the floor that will put United States troops on the ground in Gaza, I will not vote for that.
So you're against the U.S. being present in Gaza?
I'm against the United States putting troops on the ground in Gaza.
Okay. What's your stance with Russia and Ukraine?
I support Ukraine 100%. I remember when the Congresswoman particularly was working a lot on this issue. I absolutely support Ukraine's fight.
All right. What's your position on Venezuela right now? Then I'm gonna go to the audience.
I don't think that the United States government should be going after random fishermen per se without any real due process. So I don't support what Trump is currently doing, but I also don't support the dictator that's currently in Venezuela.
Okay. Now, due process. Now, you spoke my language now. So due process would not apply. The United States doesn't owe due process to people outside of their jurisdiction, according to the 14th Amendment. So let's talk about that due process bit there that you just expressed.
I don't believe that the strikes that's currently being seen with no real verification if these are terrorist threats are something that we should be doing.
Okay, that's cleaner. Okay, so question: who didn't turn out voters? Can we name names? Curious.
Christian Menifee.
Christian Menifee. Okay.
That's right.
Okay. Next question. They said you shouldn't be getting frustrated. All right, next question. Why should voters elect you as their next congressman? And specifically, what would you do differently for the North Side? I knew that North Side question was coming. For the North Side of the district compared to past representation?
I would say that number one, I'm always going to be vocal and I'm always going to be there. But I would say in addition to that, one of the biggest things that we're seeing are the effects of the job issues that we see. So that's why I talk a lot about the Jobs Act from Senator Tim Kaine. That's why I'll be talking about doing that. It will also allow for so many people that graduate from high school to go directly into job training programs. Because right now we know that only about 40% or so of the graduates that graduate in the district go either to full-time employment or directly to college or university. We got to get that number up, and I'm going to help to make sure we can get that done. I'm proud of the high velocity hydrogen hub development that's been coming, but again, we've got to make sure that we have people on the north side, people in the district that are trained for these jobs instead of always going to look to get people in Oklahoma, California, all these other places. I want to get people jobs so I can help make them money.
Okay. So I know Justin, so I think and I just want to give you an opportunity to expand, particularly in the northwest part of the district, in the part of the district that is scheduled, depending on what this three-judge panel decides, that is scheduled to be moved into CD2, into Dan Crenshaw's district. Because for the next year, you would be representing those people. What targets would you have to bring into those communities?
So I talk a lot about federal funding. I know that for one, I'm going to be bringing a lot more. I'm going to bring a lot of the folks that have been applying for federal funding under Sylvester Turner, and as well as with Congresswoman Jackson Lee, that haven't been able to get that request done. So I'm going to be trying to bring them in to figure out where grants will be applicable. I'll also be working particularly because I know that there's a big issue with trying to get more mobile clinics and stuff like that.
Okay.
So I'll be pushing to get that done.
Okay. So there is a, no, I'm not going to ask that question. And let me remove Justin's question. I want to ask you this about working cooperatively with the Texas, I can't even think of the word, with the other members of Congress from Texas, bipartisan. Even Jasmine Crockett has worked with Senator John Cornyn. Where are you with working with Republicans, particularly those in the U.S. Senate that represent the state of Texas? Are you open to working with them? Because I mean, you come like you like the hell with them Republicans a lot of the time. So are you willing to work on an issue that would support Houstonians and others in your district by working with or across the aisle and across chambers with a member of the U.S. Senate that represent the state of Texas, whether it's Ted Cruz or John Cornyn?
Sure.
You're open to that?
Sure.
Okay. All right. So here's a question, Stacy Bland. What would be your area of expertise?
I really focus on economic issues. So again, We're working a lot on job trainings. We're working to make sure that we can get a lot more stuff done. But I think my area of expertise is just making sure we can get these ridiculous and stupid Republicans out because they're really ruining everything that we see.
Okay. The stupid Republicans.
Really
I ain't say that, y'all.
I did say it. You can
I'm
sign my
gonna go
name
ahead
to
and
it.
say it. I work for the state of Texas, so I like getting my paycheck.
Well, I think they're stupid, so I'll say that.
I ain't say that because they firing professors left and right. I did not say that. Because I like being an educator. Okay. All right. As we get ready to close out, I think I have like 6 minutes left. And thank you for extending that time. I want to ask you this question that I ask everybody. And that question is, should you become a member of Congress and you're running in the primary in March, and should Congressman Al Green be a challenger to you as the sitting member of Congress for Congressional District 18, will you remain in the race or will you bow? What is your position about Congressman Al Green and the possibility of him running for 18?
I'll be running.
You'll be running.
Mhm.
Okay. Do you have a relationship with the congressman?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I mean, I think that's a fair question for people to know.
Yeah,
Like,
it is.
okay. Let's talk. Oh, here's her other question. Or was another question. She just had more to say. Some of the other candidates will bring previous experience as an elected official legal expertise. Okay. If anyone else has a question, I'll take two more. And as we prepare to close out, what's wrong? You staring at the camera.
I'm just reading.
I'm like, what are you staring at?
I'm reading what some of my favorite friends have to say about me.
Okay. So as we move to the close of this interview, and again, I'm sorry I missed that 8:40 in the email. As we're moving to the close of this conversation, what would you like the voters to know about Isaiah? That's going to be part of the question. The other question is, talk to us before that, because I think this is important. Talk to us about your work experience, your career in, was it aerospace?
Mm-hmm.
And what you do in aerospace, because you work for a family company, right?
That's right.
So let's talk about that, because that's huge. And I think that's something to be proud of. What is that like? Because as you talk about trades, that's a big thing with trades. I have family members who own funeral homes. That's a trade, right? And so you pass that down generationally. What is that like being in a family business, and how has working in aerospace and working along your family, how has that shaped you, and where would you like to see that go next?
It's been great to do a lot of work with my family.
Mm-hmm.
It's been great to work with my dad. I'm proud of it. Proud of the contracts we've been able to win for our clients and the jobs we've been able to create for people in Houston. It's really been great.
Okay. Can you tell us about the experience, the work that you do?
It's been awesome. I mean, been a project manager, managed a lot of big and complex teams, and it's been exciting.
But the work, like, what do you do?
So I have a team, or at least I was, because I'm not working anymore.
Okay.
I'm campaigning fully, but we work to win government contracts. So I get a section of a volume of an RFP,
Mm-hmm.
and my team will go and write it. I'll manage them in that process, and it gets put into a big document and sent off to the government, and then we win.
Okay, let me break this down what he does, because I want you to, not everybody knows what an RFP is. We can talk that talk, but not everyone who will watch this or who's watching it, whether on Facebook or they're commenting on YouTube, right? Not everyone knows what these things are. So you work and you get requests for proposals from different, I guess, organizations.
We represent companies.
You represent companies in the aerospace field, and you help them with procuring contracts.
Mm-hmm.
Would that be the best way to?
Yeah.
So you help them win contracts.
That's right.
Multi-million-dollar contracts. Billion-dollar contracts.
That's right.
You help them secure those contracts, and you manage teams, management, team building, all that stuff. That's leadership. That's why I want you to expand on it, so people can understand that you have that experience. You know how to manage people. Can you share more about that?
We've won a lot of great contracts. I mean, I have a team, particularly of writers, that we work. We take a section of a proposal, we get it done, we put it in a big document, and that's how that goes. So,
damn, you make it sound easy. I might need to switch jobs. Y'all hiring over there? I mean, y'all got a vacancy. You not there no more.
We'll see.
Okay, I'm saying you made it sound so easy. All right. So, in closing, what would you like to leave the audience with tonight?
Well, I would like to say to my favorite friends that are watching that ultimately I'm focused on getting to the finish line, winning this election, and getting to work to serve the people of the district. I think ultimately we've had a real lack of leadership. And I think ultimately we need somebody that understands the issues, that understands how to solve them, and how to motivate people to go out and vote. The worst voter turnout in the history of the 18th congressional district happened last cycle, and that is abysmal. Despite the fact that we had a black man running for the United States Senate and a black woman running for for president of the United States, I think that was an embarrassment. We should have done a lot better. We should absolutely go and mobilize people. So as a member of Congress, I'm going to do a lot more than vote against bad bills, bring federal funding. I'm going to be someone that's very active and very vocal, be someone that's very visible for the issues that we have. I'm going to use that experience to go and help to beat Republicans all around the city. So we got 3 Republicans on the city council. I'll be working to get them off. I'll be working to make sure we can defeat Republican school board members. I mean, you're laughing, but ultimately...
No, I'm not really laughing. It's kind of just like, okay.
I am, because ultimately what's happening, the go along to get along mentality in this city is not going to work. And I think that we need people that don't like Republicans as much as I don't like Republicans and wants to work very aggressively to get them off at every single level you can find. And so I'm proud of the momentum that we built. Tomorrow we will post the largest campaign fundraising quarter in the history of this district, the biggest ever, all with $19 averages that are happening. We outraised the entire Houston political establishment with just $19 donations and no fundraisers and no max outs.
I thought you just told me you came from a fundraising event before you came here.
No, I didn't. I said I'm doing some fundraising stuff.
Oh, you said you're doing fundraising. I just remember fundraising, so I'm thinking like that's what you had just left from.
No.
Okay.
So we outraised all their big checks. And I'm proud of the fact that we did it.
All right, because I'm gonna need a check soon, so I need you to write one for my organization. You won't be giving me one?
No, I won't.
That's all right. My viewers will, because I got something that's for the community.
That's great.
Yeah. Well, damn, you ain't got to give me no check. Damn. Are you gonna ask me for my vote?
If you would give it to me.
Are you gonna ask the viewers, not just the folks who you see here, but the viewers? Ask them.
I would ask my favorite friends to not talk about me on Threads and to actually vote for me.
Okay. To the 80-year-old who's going to get this video from me in a text message, as soon as this ends, I'm going to send him this link and his group of friends who are going to come over to his house and watch it tomorrow over
I humbly ask him for that
off Jensen.
That's right.
That's who this is for.
That's right. I hope he votes for me.
You're hilarious. All right. Anything else you want to leave the voters with?
You know, look, I think what people saw tonight is somebody who I just tell it like it is. And ultimately, I know what the game is. I know what the system is, but I still came anyway. And I think that's a lot different from a lot of folks that go and hide and don't do anything as well. I come directly to the fire, and that's exactly what I did tonight.
You thought it was a fire tonight?
You know exactly what happened.
Baby, this was so weak. I haven't given anybody a fire. That's for round 2. So when the evaluators choose the top 3 that they want to see and I bring them back, that's when the fire comes. This is just a conversation with candidates. This is not a debate. This is not a forum, none of that. I didn't use any of my legalese. I didn't use any of my experience as a professor. I didn't do any of that. I didn't challenge you on political science or any of that as a public administrator, any of that, because there was no fire tonight. This is not a fireside chat and there's no fire. What this was an opportunity for a conversation between 2 adults to discover more about you and to allow the community to learn more about you, for them to glean from you what to expect from you as our potential next member of Congress. Right. I don't take this lightly. I've been voting longer than you've been alive, almost, probably, if not longer, so this for me is really important work. And I appreciate you for coming. If you felt like you were walking into the fire, you still came. I appreciate that, because what happens with the fire is we get refined. And so hopefully that this experience was something that can refine you. And I wish you the best. And I'm cheering for you. And I want you to have a bright future. And I thank you for joining me tonight on Pretty Petty Politics.
Thank you.
Baby, he looking at me like he could cuss me out. But thank you. And I really do wish you the best, because you are a young talent and the future is going to be, you're a part of the future of this district, of this city. And I just want the best for you. But ultimately, I want the best for this city, whether that's you or somebody else. But I do thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Good night. Good night, y'all. Hey, Houston, coming up next.